They said the gate was a glimpse into the future, a scientific marvel, a triumph of human curiosity. But when I stepped through, I realized they had lied. It wasn't a future we had found. It was a nightmare, a war centuries old, fought against something we could never understand. And now they're coming for us too. If stories like this keep you on the edge of your seat, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. There's a lot more to uncover in the shadows. Let's get into it. I never intended to know the truth. That's the funny part. I just wanted a steady paycheck, maybe a little excitement to brag about at the bar. Area 51 had the mystique, the allure of secrets so wild that even the rumors sounded fake. What I didn't realize was that the truth isn't just stranger than fiction. It's something far, far worse. They called it the Gate. No official designation, no dry military jargon. Just two words spoken in hushed tones. You could almost feel the weight behind them whenever someone mentioned it. The first time I saw it, I felt something too. A subtle pressure at the back of my skull, like a low-frequency hum you can't quite hear. It wasn't much to look at, just a ring of dark metal standing in the center of Hangar 12. The surface inside the ring shimmered faintly, like heat rising off asphalt. Only it didn't distort what was behind it. Instead, it seemed to draw the light inward, bending reality ever so slightly. Don't linger too close, someone told me during my first week. People say it gets in your head. What gets in your head? The other side. I laughed it off, but the way they said it stuck with me. The other side. At the time, I thought it was just superstition. Now I know better. My selection for the mission wasn't voluntary. They didn't ask if I wanted to go. They just told me it was happening. The briefing was vague, deliberately so. They didn't tell us what we'd find on the other side, only that we were to retrieve critical data left by a prior team. A retrieval mission, they said. Routine. Why me? I asked Dr. Gray. You've got technical expertise, he replied, as if that explained anything. But there was something in his eyes, an edge of fear he couldn't quite hide. You'll understand when you're there. The others in my team weren't much help either. 5 soldiers, heavily armed, all wearing the same blank expressions. No one spoke during the prep. It felt less like a mission and more like a funeral march. When we stepped through the gate, I felt a pull, like being yanked underwater. My vision blurred, my stomach flipped, and for a second, I thought I was dying. Then the world snapped back into focus. The first thing I noticed was the light, or the lack of it. The sky above was a sickly swirl of gray and crimson, with no sun in sight. The air smelled sharp, metallic, and it burned faintly in my lungs. The landscape was barren, a wasteland of jagged rocks and skeletal remains of what looked like buildings. It felt wrong in ways I couldn't articulate, like the land itself was in pain. "Stay close," Captain Voss ordered, his voice cutting through the oppressive silence. We moved quickly, weaving through the ruins. It wasn't long before we encountered signs of life, or what was left of it. The first body was barely recognizable as human, twisted, blackened, half consumed by some kind of organic growth that pulsed faintly as we passed. One of the soldiers muttered something under his breath. "What happened to them?" I asked. "Assimilation," Voss said, his voice flat. "Keep moving." We reached the resistance base at night, or what passed for night in a place where the sky never truly darkened. They were hidden deep underground, in a network of tunnels lit by flickering, jury-rigged lights. The people there were a shadow of humanity. Thin, pale, and hollow-eyed, they stared at us like ghosts. But there was a spark of something else, too, hope. Alara was their leader, tall, wiry, and scarred. She looked like she'd been through hell and come out the other side carrying its weight. She didn't waste time on pleasantries. "You're from the other Earth," she said. It wasn't a question. I nodded, unsure how she knew. "We've been watching," she continued. "Your gate opened the connection between our worlds, and now they're preparing to use it." "They?" I asked. Alara's expression hardened. "The invaders. Machines. Biological hybrids. Call them whatever you want, they don't care. All they care about is consuming, expanding. They destroyed our world. Yours is next. Over the next few days, I learned more than I ever wanted to know. The invaders weren't just a species, they were a system. Machines designed to harvest worlds, controlled by something vast and incomprehensible. The Resistance called it the core mind, an intelligence so alien it defied understanding. It doesn't think like us, Alara explained. It doesn't conquer for power or resources. It assimilates because that's what it was built to do. It's a machine following its programming, and that programming is extinction. I wanted to believe she was wrong, that there was some way to reason with them. But then I saw them up close. We were ambushed during a supply run. The machines descended without warning, their forms sleek and insectal, moving with an eerie, organic grace. They didn't make noise, not the kind you'd expect. Just a low hum, like static, that grew louder as they approached. Their eyes, or what passed for eyes, glowed faintly, scanning, calculating. The soldiers opened fire, but their bullets barely scratched the machine's carapaces. One of the hunters lunged, its limbs slicing through a soldier's armor like paper. The screams were brief. We managed to escape, but the sound of that static hum stayed with me, echoing in my mind long after it faded. The Resistance's plan was a last-ditch effort, a weapon buried deep beneath the ruins of their Earth. It wasn't theirs. It was left by something else, something older. It's not just a weapon, Alara told me as we prepared for the mission. It's a signal, a call to whatever created the machines. If we can activate it, we might disrupt the core mind. But at what cost? I asked. Alara hesitated. We don't know, but we don't have a choice. The journey to the weapon was like descending into the underworld. The air grew colder, heavier, and the walls of the tunnel seemed to close in around us. I started hearing things, whispers in a language I didn't recognize, shapes moving in the shadows just out of sight. The others felt it too. One of the soldiers broke down, muttering about eyes in the dark. He didn't make it back. When we reached the chamber, I understood why. The weapon wasn't a machine. It was alive, a massive, pulsating mass of organic material, covered in veins that glowed faintly. It felt ancient, aware, and utterly alien. Activating the weapon was simple in theory. Interface with it using the alien technology we'd brought from the base. But as I worked, I felt something pushing back. Memories surfaced, my childhood, my first day at Area 51, stepping through the gate. But they weren't just memories. They were distorted, as if someone or something was watching them with me. Hurry! Alara shouted. The machines were closing in, their hum filling the air. With a final push, I activated the weapon. The ground shook. The weapon pulsed brighter, faster, and I felt the air vibrate with an unearthly frequency. The machines froze, their lights flickering out one by one. But the weapon didn't stop. The chamber began to collapse, the walls crumbling as the weapon consumed itself. We barely made it out alive, diving back through the gate just as the tunnel gave way. Back on Earth, I thought it was over. But when I looked at the gate, I saw it faint but growing. The shimmer was different now, darker, hungrier. They weren't gone. They were coming. And that's where my story ends. For now, if you're listening to this, take it as a warning. The gate is open and they're watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories from the edge of reality. Until next time, stay safe and stay vigilant.